All right, welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're taking a look at something that I think everyone who uses a computer has wondered about at some point. You know how sometimes your computer just slows to a crawl? Like you're trying to open a file or launch a program and it's just, well, taking forever.
Yeah, I've been there. Definitely.
They've got some really cool materials that break down the challenges of disk drive efficiency. You know, those requests to read and write data? Well, our mission today is to uncover how operating systems handle all that and keep our computers from feeling like they're stuck in the mud.
It's actually kind of fascinating when you think about it. Like,
Hmm.
at the most basic level, accessing data on a disk involves physically moving a read-write head.
Okay, so that little head has to move to the right spot on the disk to get the data, right?
Exactly. And the less it has to move around, the faster everything goes. That's where disk scheduling comes in. It's all about minimizing that movement.
So we want to reduce that, what's called seek time.
Yeah, seek time. It's basically the time it takes for the head to move to the correct position. And it's pretty much equal to the seek distance. So the shorter the distance, the faster the seek time.
Right, right. And then there's disk bandwidth, which is how much data you can actually pull off the disk over time. So the OS is trying to juggle both of these things, make sure it's not just moving the head efficiently, but also pulling off as much data as it can. I was reading that disk controllers can even queue up multiple requests at once.
Absolutely they can. It's like
Yeah.
a chef in a busy kitchen with a bunch of orders coming in. The disk controller has to figure out the best way to handle all those requests without making anyone wait too long.
Okay, that makes sense. So how does the OS actually do that? What are these mysterious algorithms you mentioned?
Well, there are a few key ones. There's FCFS, SSTF, scan, cscan, and then some optimized versions called look and see, lookl. Let's break them down one by one.
Okay, let's start with FCFS. First come, first served. I guess that's pretty self-explanatory, right?
Yeah, it's the simplest approach. Basically, you just handle the requests in the order they arrive.
Like a line at the bank,
Yeah.
right? Whoever gets there first gets helped first.
Exactly. So let's say we have a queue of requests, and the head is starting at position 53. The queue is 98, 183, 37, 122, 14, 124, 65, and 67.
All right, and what happens if we just follow FCFS with this queue?
The head would move to 98, then 183, then back down to 37, and so on.
Wow, that sounds like it could involve a lot of back and forth movement.
You're right. If we calculate the total head movement using SCFS, it comes out to a whopping 640 cylinders. That's like moving the needle on a record player all over the place. Not very efficient.
So FCFS, not the best for efficiency. What's next?
Well, someone realized that FCFS was pretty inefficient because it ignored the physical location of the data. So they came up with SSTF, which stands for shortest seek time first.
Okay, so instead of just going in order, SSTF picks the request that's closest to the current head position, right?
Exactly. It's like always grabbing the closest ingredient in the kitchen instead of running all over the place for each one. So using our same example queue and starting at 53, the total head movement with SSTF drops to 236 cylinders. A huge improvement.
So SSTF basically optimizes for the shortest distance to the next request. That makes sense. But it sounds like there might be a downside.
You're right. The potential problem with SSTF is something called starvation. Imagine a request for data that's way out on the edge of the disk. If there are always closer requests coming in, that request might never get serviced because it keeps getting pushed back in the queue.
Ah, I see. So how do we make sure all those requests get a fair shot? What other algorithms are there?
This is where things get even more interesting. Let's talk about scan, often called the elevator algorithm. It's a really clever way to handle requests in a more balanced way.
Elevator algorithm, that sounds interesting. Tell me more.
Picture an elevator in a building. The head and scan act like that elevator. It starts moving in one direction, servicing all the requests along the way until it reaches the end. Then it reverses direction and services the requests on the way back.
I get it. So it's like the elevator making a complete up and down trip, picking up passengers along the way. And that way, no request has to wait too long because the elevator will eventually come back around to it.
Exactly. And for our example, the total head movement with scan would also be 236 cylinders, just like SSTF. But in this case, it ensures that all the requests get serviced fairly.
Okay, scan sounds pretty good. Does it have any drawbacks?
Well, one potential issue is that if most of the requests are clustered at one end of the disk, the requests at the other end might experience longer wait times. It's like having most of the elevator passengers on the top floor. Those waiting on lower floors have to wait for the elevator to go all the way up and then come back down.
That's a good point. So how do we improve on that? Is there a way to make the wait times even more consistent?
There is. That's where C-scan comes in. It stands for circular scan.
Circular scan. I'm intrigued.
Think of it this way. Instead of reversing direction at the end of the disk, the head in C-scan jumps back to the beginning without servicing any requests on the way back. It's like the elevator immediately going back to the ground floor after reaching the top floor, ready for a fresh round of pickups.
That does sound more efficient in a way, especially if requests are scattered all over the disk.
Exactly. C-scan ensures that the head is always moving in the same direction when it's actively servicing requests. This makes the wait times for all the requests even more consistent and predictable.
So FCFS is like a basic queue, SSTF prioritizes the closest requests, SCAN is the balanced elevator, and C-scan is the super efficient elevator that doesn't waste time going back empty.
What about look and see look? You mentioned those earlier. Where do they fit in?
These are like the optimized versions of SCAN and C-scan. Think of them as even smarter elevators. With look and see look, the head doesn't necessarily go all the way to the physical end of the disk. So they're more like express elevators that only stop at certain floors.
That's a great analogy. They only travel as far as the last request in the current direction. So with Luke, after reaching that last request, it reverses direction. With See Luke, it jumps back to the beginning, but again, only after reaching that last request. No wasted trips to the very end if there's nothing to pick up or drop off there.
Okay, so these algorithms are all about optimizing the head's movement. So it really boils down to this, right? Operating systems are using some really ingenious tricks to minimize how much that read-write head has to move around, and that's how they keep our computers feeling snappy and responsive.
Precisely. It's not just about the raw speed of the disk itself, it's about using clever scheduling strategies to get the most out of it. And the choice of algorithm, well, that's not always straightforward. It depends on the specific workload and the trade-offs you're willing to make. Like, do you want to prioritize overall efficiency, or do you need to ensure that every request gets serviced fairly?
That's a fascinating insight. It's like the AOS is playing a constant game of strategy, trying to balance efficiency with fairness. It makes you think, what other systems in the real world face this kind of challenge? Like, where else do we have to think about managing movement and prioritizing tasks with this distance factor? It's a really cool parallel to consider. Thanks for breaking this down. This was a really deep dive.